Modrinth is the latest platform to be hit by malware that can steal your credentials. We first of course had ThreatTrizer a few months back, the self-replicating malware on CurseForge that could also steal your data, and then we had Bleeding Pipe, which was a smaller exploit allowing code to run natively on Minecraft almost like Log4j. And now we have this, an infected project on Modrinth. And before you go monkey mode and panic and throw your computer into the trash, you should know that as of right now, it's only this one mod with only a few thousand downloads. So why are you even bothering to talk about this if it's this small? I can hear you already ask from your corner of your room. Well, honestly, I think it's worth covering smaller issues like this, as those can help prevent the bigger ones later on. So today, let's take a look at the newest scare to take over the world of modded Minecraft and discuss what you can do if a big one hits next. But one thing you can't do to keep yourself safe is subscribe, because you won't get malware if you do, but I will find your location if you don't. A few things to note while we start. One, this script was originally written when it's first happened, and now it's a few days later. Two, I'll be reading mostly from this blog post by Modrinth themselves, and I suggest you do the same. And three, this malware so far has only been confirmed to be this one singular mod named Windows Borderless, and exactly Windows Borderless. Other similar mods are not malware, as stated right here. Alright, got it? Got it. Okay, so this malware I'll be referring to as Border Breaker was just a standard data scrubber, and it was attached to a malicious mod that when ran in Minecraft would harvest your data related to Chromium-based projects. Chromium being the underlying technology behind web browsers like Opera and Google Chrome, but also Discord would be affected because they also run on Chromium, and they would steal the usual stuff like account tokens and passwords and a whole lot more. And even though Modrinth estimates that people exposed to this would be rather limited, as only a few direct IPs seem to have downloaded the affected versions, the effect this malware does have on those people should not be underestimated. But the real question I have is, how could this happen? And who is at fault here? Let's tackle the how first. According to Modrinth's timeline, at 2 PM in the afternoon, a project by the name of Windows Borderless was created and submitted for review with a single file attached. This file did not contain the so-called Border Breaker malware, thus was passed for listing the next day at 12 AM. And that's fast, because my mod pack took like 4 days. It's important to note that it only had this single file, no other. And if you ever had a project on Modrinth, you know that typically only the first version of a project gets a mandatory review issued. After that, it's a trust-based system where uploads can be pushed immediately. In either case, 2 days later on May the 2nd, Windows Borderless project was updated with a version containing the Border Breaker malware. This initial version only sent out information about the victim's machine to a Discord bot. But 2 days later, things got real malicious real fast, as the new versions from that point onward all contained token and credential stealers. And because the mod was only reported even 2 days after that, Border Breaker had a full 2 days to collect and compromise unsuspecting users. Now luckily it was only a limited amount of users, because to Modrinth's credit, it only took them 3 hours to respond and lock the operation down. But that leaves us with one other question. Was this preventable? Could Modrinth have stopped this before it happened? In theory, yes. In practical terms, it's a little bit gray. The question you might have, which I had, is why do you not check every project update for these types of malicious programming? And the answer is that it would require a huge amount of people downloading every single jar and checking to see what they do, and having the knowledge to do so. And if it took 3 hours to shut down one report, imagine the amount of time per day would go to checking every single mod on the platform. Not only mods, but updates to mods as well. And since Modrinth just returned 800,000 USD and reduced their team in order to be independent from investors, I don't see how they could do that right now. Although it is worth mentioning that they do some checks either way, such as hash checking to check if the new uploaded jar isn't just a duplicate of another jar already on the database, but beyond that, it doesn't really seem like they're doing much in the way of validating these mods. But even if they went and did all the manual checks for every jar and update out there, the amount of delay for projects would be substantial, to the point that it would likely crash the operation when 6,000 little Timmies all hit the submit button all at once because a new Minecraft update released. Though it is worth mentioning that both CurseForge and Modrinth have their issues. A person by the name of Vasky did test CurseForge's defense against malware after they let a lot of their moderation team go, by uploading a mod called Crash Context, which did contain rather obvious malware, but CurseForge failed that test and failed it really hard. They didn't even detect it at all. So how would Modrinth do? Well, I don't have to ask that question because they failed as well, because a similar mod was uploaded for a similar test and they failed that as well, with even a moderator stating on the project that they don't do any form of human verification because of time constraints and because the volunteers not having the necessary knowledge to test these things properly. But let's be fair to Modrinth. They are working on very cool new things in order to prevent this in the future. The first is a web-based system that any modded Minecraft launcher can hook into to check if the file you downloaded is actually malware or not. Keyword: known. Hackers usually don't leave telltale signs in their code like hacking starts here, so if the malware isn't known or isn't using a known exploit, then it's still undetectable. But they also are investigating a way to develop an algorithm to detect malicious patterns in code before they would go public. Though in the past this did prove extremely hard to implement on other platforms. But with that being said, let us ask ourselves the last question. Who is to blame? In security, you have to balance your actual security against how easy to use your software is, but also how well your software functions. It's not a secret that Modrinth leaned more into the latter two instead of security. But the alternative would have made Modrinth not only more complex to use for the less tech-savvy people, but also way more difficult to operate with the small team that they have. I mean, it took me 4 to 5 days for my own mod pack to be approved on Modrinth, and if I had to wait 5 days for every minor update, I'd just switch back to CurseForge. I already have to wait like 4 days there anyways. So no, I don't think we can blame them fully. Though that being said, me as a consumer do believe that nothing big has been done to prevent another fracturizer. This time it was small, but next time we might have a serious issue. Though at the end of the day, there's only one major fact that will always stay true. Any Java application you download can be seriously dangerous regardless how many checks you put in, as Java as a language can do so much. So maybe think twice before you download that mod that promises 200 FPS on your toaster. To me, it could just steal your mom's credit card. But with that being said, I was Lunar, you are very awesome, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey, so this one was a little bit different, mainly because I edited this one myself, though I did want to thank you for watching. And I want to thank the many Pebbles and YouTube members supporting me on this channel. If you didn't know, for only $1 a month, you can get access on this channel to bloopers of previous videos, because I suck at speaking, edited by Kiz or by me, as a member on YouTube. And full versions of the interviews I perform are on Patreon right here, also for just $1 a month. So again, many thanks for the people supporting me. You mean the world to me, and you make what I do easier. Next video will be back into the regular style, so don't go anywhere if you've watched this far. But why don't you leave a comment with a question or so for the next video if you are here already? Alright, see ya.